Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, I'm sharing how I managed to eat over 150 grams of protein while still staying within my calorie range. And it seems to me that a common pain point that people have on GLP-1 medication is that they have a hard time reaching their protein goal. Sometimes it's that they have a hard time reaching their protein goal while still staying in a calorie deficit. So I'm just going to be walking you through just a typical ordinary day and showing you guys exactly what it is that I eat. So obviously first meal of the day is breakfast, and I'm actually not a huge breakfast person. I just don't really feel hungry first thing in the morning. But having said that, I do think it's important to start the day strong. I think if you don't have protein in the morning, you're probably just going to feel hungry later on. And also before you know it, it's like halfway through the day and you're nowhere near your protein goal. So I think starting off strong and having a breakfast that is high in protein, it's going to keep you full for longer, but it's also going to kind of set the tone for the rest of the day. So what I do is I have a protein shake, and I just use like the cheap Premier protein powder, and I mix it with milk instead of water. So yes, the milk will add extra calories, but it also adds extra protein. So I'm okay with that trade-off. But of course, you can just make it with water, almond milk, or even better is Fairlife milk. It has much more protein than like regular milk does. I believe it's 12 grams of protein as opposed to 8 grams of protein in the 2% milk that I use. But it's a lot more expensive. So I'm always trying to balance, how much protein something has with the cost. And so if you can afford to do that, that would even be even better. And of course you could buy like the ready-made protein shakes that have, whatever it is, like 40 grams of protein or maybe even more. But so that's how I start my morning. And I have always just added some cinnamon in there. I just like the way it tastes, just personal preference. And you're gonna definitely wanna stir it up really good because it can get a little clumpy. It is what it is. It's protein powder, so I don't mind it. I think it's maybe something that you have to get a little used to, but again, I'm already starting my day off with 38 grams of protein. Okay, next up is lunch, and I had a chicken wrap, which equals 305 calories and 45 grams of protein. So let me walk you through the breakdown. I used a Mission Carb Balance flour tortilla, which equals 70 calories and 60 grams of protein. Now these are the low carb tortillas. You want to make sure that you're getting those and not the regular kind. So it's low carb because the majority of the carbs, it has 19 grams of carbohydrates, but 17 of them are fiber, so you're left with 2 net carbs. So it's definitely, if you're doing keto, something that would probably fit into your allowances. What else? I had that with 6 ounces of raw chicken breast, excuse my notes, and that equaled 39 grams of protein. Now, this can get confusing, like calculating protein in meat can get confusing because there's raw weight and cooked weight. You definitely have to pay attention to how you're doing it. And in my opinion, if you're really trying to stay within your calorie range, a food scale is a must. So 6 ounces of cooked skinless chicken breast has about 55 grams of protein, while a 6-ounce serving of raw skinless chicken breast has about 39 grams of protein. So obviously there seems to be a discrepancy there. So the exact protein amount varies based on whether the chicken is cooked or the meat in general is cooked or raw. And that's because when it's cooked, it obviously loses some of that water weight in the cooking process. The protein stays the same, it's just that the weight changes. So let's say you're using an app to track your protein intake, and you look up 6 ounces of cooked chicken breast, and it says it's like 59 grams of protein, but you end up measuring 6 ounces of raw chicken. Well, when you're done cooking it, you're actually ending up with about 4 ounces. So you're getting a little less protein. Not the end of the world, but if you're really trying to be accurate, it's best to stick with one or the other, whether you use raw weight or cooked weight. I like to just use raw weight because that's how most food labels come up with their nutritional facts. They use the raw weight, and also that's what the USDA uses. But again, either way, make sure that you're either consistently using raw weight or consistently using cooked weight. Okay, enough about that. So obviously in my wrap, I put lettuce, tomato, onion, and I'm not even going to count the calories in that because it's negligible. It was a small amount and those are low calorie foods anyway, so I'm not going to bother trying to calculate that. But I did use some light ranch dressing, which is about 1 tablespoon. It's about 35 calories for 1 tablespoon, and that's about what I used, although I didn't actually measure it. If I was having a salad where I'm probably going to be using a little bit more than a tablespoon of dressing, then I would be a little bit more careful because dressing definitely adds up pretty quick. So I actually like to use plain Greek yogurt and make my own dressing out of that, and I'll just mix in whatever spices I want. So I absolutely loved Kinder's buffalo cheese seasoning, but they discontinued it. I can't find it anywhere. I've seen it online, like on eBay, and it's like $35 for a bottle. I'm not spending that, so I've kind of given up looking for that. Not sure why they discontinued it, but you know, there's different options. Lately, I've been using like ranch seasoning packet or even just like an onion soup mix, and I'll just mix that right into the Greek yogurt, and I make my own dressing that way. It's lower calorie than most dressing, and of course, it's just a little extra protein. But you know, you could just stick with light dressing and keep it simple. Next up at this point, it was probably around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was getting a little hungry and I wanted to have a snack. So I had 1 cup of cottage cheese, just really simple. And that was 220 calories with 24 grams of protein. After that, I had dinner. And for dinner, I had tilapia, quinoa, and summer squash, and that equaled 361 calories and 44 grams of protein. So the zucchini, I didn't end up weighing it, but I estimate that it's about 20 calories. Same for the summer squash, like what I ended up having. Of course, you know, if you're really trying to be careful, these are things that you would weigh, but honestly, even when I was like actively trying to lose weight, I didn't really focus on weighing things that were super low calories, like super low calorie, like zucchini or lettuce, tomatoes, because you know, you can go crazy if you it starts to become too much of a chore. For the purposes of this video, I'm estimating that it was about 20 calories worth of zucchini and 20 calories worth of summer squash. I also used a little bit of butter. I used like imperial butter spread, and I Googled that, and that was about 30 calories. The fish, I buy it frozen from Walmart, and it's 90 calories per fillet. I wanted to have 2 because again, I was trying to make sure I was getting enough protein, and also I was hungry. So that equaled 180 calories. And now, if you're trying to watch your, like really be strict with your calories, then you would want to just maybe stop there and not introduce more carbs. But I, you know, felt like I had enough calories that I could afford to do that. And so I had half a cup of quinoa, which was 111 calories. Finally, after putting my kids to bed and a very long day, I decided I wanted to have a snack or a dessert, if you will. And this is pretty much my go-to. I have this pretty much every single night. Sometimes I have this twice a day. And it's basically just Greek yogurt with whatever I decide to add into it. On this particular night, I had it with chocolate chips and coconut flakes. And that came to 190 calories for the Greek yogurt because I used about a cup of that. And 26 calories for a teaspoon of the mini chocolate chips and 35 calories for about a tablespoon of the coconut flakes. Again, if you're trying to watch your calorie intake, you would probably just avoid the chocolate chips and the coconut flakes, but I just wanted something sweet, and so I decided to treat myself, and that equaled 251 calories and 19 grams of protein. So for breakfast, I had 38 grams of protein and 280 calories. For lunch, I had the chicken wrap, and that was 45 grams of protein and 305 calories. For my snack, I had cottage cheese, a cup of cottage cheese, and that was 24 grams of protein and 220 calories. And then for dinner, I had the fish with the veggies and the quinoa, and that was 44 grams of protein and 361 calories. And then finally for dessert, I had the yogurt, and that was 19 grams of protein and 251 calories. So that brings the total to 1,417 calories and 169 grams of protein. So it is absolutely doable to get enough protein while still staying in a calorie deficit. As it turned out, this day I definitely ate a little less calories than I normally would, and that's because I usually end up having sometime between like lunch, breakfast and lunch, I usually will have yogurt in there. This particular day I was busy, and so I didn't get a chance to, but if I had done that, I definitely would have been, another 200 or so calories over this, which would have put me right around 1,600 calories, which is where I like to stay. So I hope you found this video helpful. Nothing fancy, but it's just very ordinary, basic meals that are easy to make and aren't expensive, and they help me hit my protein goal. So I will try to do another one of these videos because I think most people like to see and get ideas from, just watching other people. And I will bring that to you sometime in the next week or two. I'll catch you then. Bye.